Hey guys, today I will be reacting to a video of Beifeng Ekko. Beifeng, of course, is a very well-known Qiyana player, but his Ekko is also pretty clean. I have actually watched this video before. I wanted to blind react to another video on stream yesterday, but in that video I didn't really feel like there was so much to talk about that was really good to highlight. But in this video that I watched, there's a lot of really good spacing moments you can learn from, so I decided to just kind of review this one again. Overall, I would say, however, like Zhao Ben is much faster with his combos, and he just knows his limits better as well. But the spacing of Beifeng is, I would even say the spacing is better, or it's more noticeable that he really goes for spacing and uses the passive, and you will see that in game. So let's just go right into it. By the way, this gameplay is like 7 months old as well, so it's not super accurate. And also, I think it's quite low elo. I think in the description it said plat 4, but that doesn't matter, right? There's still quite a lot to show in this game. If he hits the Q here, then the Aatrox dies, by the way. Definitely a bit of a mistake. Yeah, some matchup I would say it's definitely winnable. It's just a skill matchup. Yeah, and as you can see, the way he just plays this, it's always important in these early fights where you don't have a lot of abilities to always get the passive auto attack in, so you can proc the passive with Q auto attack right away. You know, and then he uses the E to reposition, so he hits the return Q. So this trade overall was definitely good. Yeah, he even says it. And also because, of course, he has the corrupting pot as well. Yeah, but this Yasuo is a bit of an inter. As I said, it's Platinum 4. Still, but of course, a lot of you guys watching this are in similar elos, right? So you will face these kind of mistakes as well. You just need to punish it. See, the Yasuo thinks, oh no, the Ekko missed Q, so I can dash in now. But of course, with the return Q plus E plus auto attack, passive proc, everything, this guy's actually in lethal range. But he doesn't know it apparently. This is what I'm always saying. If you just manage to hit your return Q, it's a lot of the damage. So I mean, at this point, I think the outgoing Q actually deals more damage because he doesn't have any AP. But still, the return Q almost deals as much damage. Yeah. Then again, I mean, this Yasuo, he really is bad, right? He could have just dashed in a way where he doesn't get stunned here. But as I said, a lot of people that are watching this are definitely gonna be in this kind of elo. So just play with confidence, right? Don't be too scared. Like, Ekko can kill early. You can see Jalaben do it all the time, even in high elo. So that means it has to be possible, right? It was actually a bit of a good bait from the Yasuo, but it doesn't really matter. He's still gonna die. I'm pretty sure. I am. He was a bit greedy with his E here. I would have done the same though. Pretty good by the Graves though. When I first watched this, it didn't even look that low elo, but now that I read the description and saw that it's plat 4, I can definitely see the Yasuo is a bit of a griefer. But the way the Graves did that was actually pretty good. Here, I mean, if he was an Ekko main here, he just does EQ combo, honestly, right? There's no reason. There are some situations where you want to E on the enemy and then hold your Q, mainly against champions that can disrupt you. Like, let's say a Vayne that can E you away, for example, in the Zhao Ben video. Like, there are champions where you don't want to Q right away, oftentimes. But in this situation, but even against Vayne, in a situation like this where you come out of vision, you just want to EQ and then proc the pass right away. So this was definitely a bit of a mistake. Shows that he's not an Ekko man. He still does the EQ combo sometimes, but yeah, now he flashes. It's fine. He still gets the kill. Gets the kill on the blitzkrieg as well, I'm sure. He positioned a bit weirdly. You can still go for that. You need to be aware that you can go for these kind of plays. Right, as soon as your E is up again, he has to wait like a second here. No, he doesn't even have to wait, he just has it. He's waiting for the, you can see the timer here, right? For the passive to be up again. And for his Q as well, of course, so you can just proc passive and then he goes over. Yeah, here very important to wait out the wind wall as well. I mean, he didn't have Q up anyways, but I'm sure he would have waited out the wind wall. So that's definitely something you need to play around. He thought the Yasuo would EQ flash, that's why he ulted. And then here, these kind of trades. This is what I'm always saying. He hits this Q, and then he just repositions with his E and then procs the passive with the return Q. And what can the Yasuo do? Okay, he can hit like one Q, but that trade was obviously super positive for the Ekko here, right? So these kind of trades against champions that can't lock you down, which are like 99% of the champions, you just take these kind of trades and you cannot get punished for it. Here also perfect example of the W being cast out of range. This Yasuo is a... And here, this is what I meant. This is what I meant with like how he stays out of range, right? He just stays out of range for the Yasuo, so the Yasuo can never attack him here, right? The Q is only up until here. And if he would move up to him, he would just kite down. And he's simply waiting for his abilities and staying in range to re-engage when the abilities are up again. Perfect showcasing of how to space against melee champs like Yasuo. Here W casted out of range. The Alistar honestly trolling a little bit, I feel like, but it's fine. And then very good repositioning, of course, with the rocket belt to get behind her here. It's also very good to do this as late as possible, you know? Always rocket belt behind the enemies as late as possible, because then they have a much shorter time to react, and maybe they think that your rocket belt's on cooldown, or they don't even think about your rocket belt at all because they're in low elo. So it's like you rocket belt. I mean, he could have even rocket belt a little bit later, and then it's like a very hard to react to this kind of combo. This thing also gonna die here because he tanks the both Q instances. Yeah, at this point he's of course incredibly fat. Should be a fun game. Yeah, I mean he's flashing for it, he has Magi, so it's kind of worth. Also full gold, of course. And see, he's just so patient with his ability usage. This is what I really like. I don't know. He just waits for all the stuff to happen and then he throws his Q. And also he plays so well around the passive cooldown, right? He already procced it. I also do that a lot of times. When you don't even really want to attack when the passive is not stackable, unless you have like Nashers and whatever, and you can maybe get someone in lethal range. But if not, you just play with your passive cooldown with a circle here, wait for your abilities to come up, and then it's perfect. Also in the late game, oftentimes I actually didn't know that until a coaching session yesterday. But your Q and E, they have the exact same cooldown, right? If they're both on the same ranks. So on max rank, they're both like around 5-second cooldown, and that's basically also the cooldown of your passive. So you can really, it actually feels very smooth if you just play with that. It's very nice. You can see him; he's not even using any abilities up until the moment where the passive is up again, so you can just proc it right away and burst him down. Very important to play with your passive. He really wants the Magi stacks here. See, and Ekko is such a fast champ. You can just chase him down, even though the Yasuo could dash through a wave. Definitely an interesting rune setup that he's also running. He's playing with Treasure Hunter in mid. I guess it was before the nerf. It was 7 months ago, and then also Minion Dematerializer. I don't think Ekko needs Minion Dematerializer nowadays. He can heal waves really easily with absolute focus, but I guess, I don't know, maybe he just wanted to run this setup. I mean, Minion Dematerializer is a good rune overall, but still. This kind of engage you can always do with with Rocket Belt. Anyways, like, even if she wouldn't have stepped out here. You can see he's just looking for... He's just looking to engage on people. He's so fat, you need to really... When you're this fat, I see so many times when people are fat, they just kind of slow down too much and don't really force anything. But at this point, Ekko is such an unfair champ that you really should be looking to make plays all the time. Here, one thing I want to highlight as well. See how he's waiting out the aftershock, right? The Blistering procced aftershock with the E. So he's glowing green, and he's not wasting his passive into that. He's waiting it out. And then... just deals much more damage because the Blistering doesn't have the extra resistances. I think Ekko is quite good against Aatrox, to be honest. It's very easy to dodge his abilities. And here you can see the whole time he's just kind of staying out of range from the Kai'Sa. And if she does any mistakes, then he could re-engage with his abilities. And at this point he's really just not letting the enemies breathe. I mean, I don't know what this Aatrox was doing. I thought I guess he thought the Ekko just disappeared or something. But yeah, I mean, at this point he's of course 3 levels ahead on them. Incredibly fat. See, this is a combo you can always do as well. If you have the Rocket Belt and you have your abilities up. Oops, I didn't want to do that. You just need, if you have Rocket Belt, you only need 1 stack, right? In this situation, he gets the stack with his E. You can also get it with Q, of course, and then you just get close to the enemy. Like if you do Q here, then you just E Rocket Belt auto attack proc passive, and in this situation, he just does the opposite. Basically, he E's Rocket Belt auto attack Q, or like Q Rocket. Let's see how he does it. Yeah, Q Rocket Belt auto attack, and this combo is so quick, right? There's so many. The way you do the quick Rocket Belt combo doesn't have to be the EQ throw and then Rocket Belt. It can also be a little bit delayed, like he did it here, right? And this is what I mean. He plays more in bursts compared to Zhao Lao Ben. Zhao Lao Ben really overwhelms his enemies by just throwing out his abilities really quickly, but still super controlled. And Beifeng kind of he just plays in these short bursts where he just completely one-shots them. It's more similar to Qiyana, really, his playstyle. Definitely makes sense, of course, since he's a Qiyana player. It was interesting to see. I would say his positioning is definitely a strength. Here, just place these W's, right? It doesn't mean you have to go in there, but let's say the enemies stay in there, then you can just engage, you know? There's so many... In situations like this, there's no reason not to just throw it out. He gets baited into going... Like, that was definitely quite bad that he died to that, but it happens, right? Even 1K LP challengers make these kind of mistakes. That was actually really good how he played around the Talia W there. Right? You can see when he engages on her, he still got hit, but you couldn't tell that he played around it right away. He kept walking instead of just comboing her. I guess in this situation he should have just comboed her so she dies right away, but he's 16-1, it doesn't really matter. Aatrox build is good, he's saying. Can't really tell. I mean, it's 7 months ago, I don't know. I guess Death Stance was quite good back then. Still, Death Stance is a really annoying item for Ekko because it helps against not getting burst down. But still, it's an armor item, right? But it's still good against Ekko. Especially with Maw together, it was quite annoying to deal with. By the way, here, I think he should have ulted out first. Faster. And that's also one thing. He's holding his ult much more than I personally do. And I think also than Zhao Lao Ben does. I think that's because he's not an Ekko main. I think his ult usage is actually not the best, but it's definitely good. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely very good, but I think here he should have just ulted now, right? So he's back here, he's full HP, and he can keep playing the game. Because now what happens is what I'm always saying, let's see, like his ult value is quite bad now. He needs to ult now because he's on 1 HP, but then he has a bad position. That's also something you often need to think about. And in this situation, the ult, it would have been fine, right? He's still 6-1, he doesn't really need the ult so much to play. So if he's just full HP, then that's good enough value in my opinion. And now his ult just positions him in quite a bad way, and he even dies for it again. So don't be too greedy with your ults. This ult, after going in here, would have been completely fine. Like, after going in here, taking too much damage, just ulting out, sometimes you just need to cut your losses, you know? Also, I mean, his positioning could have been better. He could have definitely dodged the Talia W. He's a bit disappointed in himself. I'm sure he can just one-shot this guy. See, also really important how he hits the return Q here. You really, in these kind of fights, you really need to make sure to hit all your damage potential. Can't miss out on anything. But yeah, and again here, how he spaces with him, right? All he's doing is he's just running, dodging the abilities. I mean, that's how you have to play against Aatrox in general, but with Ekko you can do it so easily because you have so much movement speed. He's just staying out of range and waiting for his cooldowns, and now he's just eating him and he's dead. You know, the Aatrox can't even touch him, and there's so many... Like, most melee champs really have that struggle against you if you space correctly. This fight as one of the ones I remember why I wanted to highlight this video. It's so easy, right? All you need to do is just stay out of range. But you really need to do it. Could have ulted there, have a nice kill, but he doesn't need to. See, like, this is one thing, like, I personally would have maybe ulted just to have a cool kill, but obviously it's better to just hold it so he still has it now. I think it's definitely more noticeable how he holds his abilities and really plays around bursts, because it's similar on Qiyana, right? You also play just with your abilities and go for short bursts. He wanted to do the combo here. I think he could have done it maybe even, but the set kind of saved the Blitzcrank here. I think, for example, here he should have just ulted before the... Like, now he should have ulted. But I guess he didn't have the reactions or something. The W also wasn't good. I don't know. I gotta be honest. Obviously, he's not an Ekko main. And he's just smurfing here, so he's still making mistakes. I think the W should have been much more here. I don't know why he would place it there. There's not really any reason to re-engage for him. Yeah, now he has to flash away. But if you do this kind of stuff, always proc your passive first, right? If he doesn't proc passive here, then... Okay, the Aatrox doesn't have flash to follow him anyways, but if he had flash, then he could follow him if he doesn't proc the passive, right? And even now it's a little bit close. But always, when you're running away, make sure to proc your passive first. Super important. He needs 50... Wait, he wants to wait for 50 gold? Interesting. I guess when no objective is up, you can just wait. Oh, and she just gets 300 gold from Natalia. Dumb. Oh, this Yasuo build, he's just full MR. Booster Kai'Sa? Oh, okay. See, he's just waiting for his ult to even really start playing the game, and that's what you should do most of the time. He's not forced to really engage here, he can wait for his ult. And again, the classic, right? This is just the classic. This will happen so many times in late game, especially in these kind of fights in the base. They're a little bit, like, sloppy usually. Like, this guy just tanks it, and then Ekko at this point has enough movement speed to just run down here, and with the E reposition away where the return Q will hit, and then he can E auto attack to proc the passive. And at this point it will kill most targets, right? Like, even, I think in this game it will literally kill any target from half HP, for sure. There's no real tank here. And it's just so much damage, the passive. These guys, if they're a little bit more in range, you can easily just one-shot them with the rocket bolt, by the way. Right? This kind of range, I think even this range, a little bit closer is in, like, lethal range. You need to be aware of that. If you do the combo fast enough, then people might not even react. But of course, there's no real reason to go for it in this situation, because they couldn't end anyways. And see, he just went fishing with this W here. This is what I meant in the guide as well. Every time you just... In late game you can just throw out your W. It's not as long of a cooldown anymore. And if you need it, then you just kite away usually. So just place these kind of Ws in choke points. Often I really like on the minimap, like look at the minimap. This brush is one I really like placing it in, or like this one, especially when Drake is about to spawn. It's so often that people are in there. But yeah, just in general, choke points where you're fighting, just place a W there, see if you can catch someone. If not, cool. Maybe sometimes you can even proc it, have the shield, and then engage on someone if you don't catch someone right away. Just use your abilities, really. See, now the W is up again, you can just fight again. unfortunate that he didn't hit the Kai'Sa. Yeah, but at this point, see, like, they cannot even touch him the way he's playing. And this is how you need to play Ekko. They literally have such a hard time even dealing damage to him. Because none of the skill shots can really hit. You know, they can only auto-attack him if he's in range, but the Aatrox and whatever, they can't really hit him if he's not misplaying. That was clean, the flash, by the way. You can kind of do that, right? Where you prop pattern and just flash away. You can look really clean. Yeah, it was definitely a solid game. I hope you could learn something from his spacing. As I said, I don't think he's quite as good as Zhao Lao Ben. I think next time I will react to Zhao Lao Ben again. But overall, he's still a very solid Ekko. And especially his spacing and ability usage, I think, is something we can, like, I can also learn from that. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like. And as I said, next time I'll be reacting to Zhao Lao Ben again. So stay tuned for that.